What is up? This is my good friend Jessica, and we're colleagues in a mentorship program that we're in. She is a business coach, and she runs a company called Permission to Charge, where she helps entrepreneurs really gain value for the work that they do. And we had an interesting conversation yesterday, and I thought, okay, this has got to be, you can't be the only one who has this question.
Yeah, so my question for you was, I know there's this next level. I believe we all have a next level. And I actually am pretty clear on what it might look like, but there's a gap between where I am and where that level is. And there's some stuff there. So I want to know, how do I get straight to that stuff?
All right. So basically, you're climbing, you're doing well. There's this next level, but there's something inside of you that's blocking you from seeing it. I'm sure you can relate to Jessica, or you have at some point in your life, that feeling where you want something greater, that feeling where you're okay with where you're at, you should be grateful for where you're at, but there's something deeper, something more meaningful. I'm sure you can relate to Jessica, that feeling where there's something deeper, something more meaningful, something beyond where you're at. I love to call that term transitional anxiety. The anxiety of knowing that you could be doing more with what your career is all about, but not really knowing what's blocking you. Perhaps I can enlighten you. This was something that I was living with for about 2 or 3 years when I was working as a chiropractor, and I knew that I wanted to do something more than just help people with structural issues, with health-related problems that were mostly dealing with stress-related disorders. And after I came up with the overview method, I wanted to go deeper. And so I started by challenging myself, stepping up, and I made about 4 or 5 key shifts. And after doing that, everything started to change for me. So I want to share those with you. First of all, I want to talk about some of the symptoms that you could be going through when you're experiencing that. It's the constant feeling of comparing yourself to other people. You look around and you see others really happy with what they're doing. You compare yourself maybe on social media and you're beating yourself up for not living that. I know that feeling. Knowing that there's other things that you feel that are very important and are really exciting to do, but you're not really utilizing all of your talents. Feel like time is wasting away. You feel like your talents are being wasted away, and it just isn't very fun. Here's what you do. First and foremost, you have to make a big declaration for yourself in the form of a mission statement, a public declaration, something that scares you a little bit. So fear is a necessity. You have to scare yourself in this. Step number 1, making a mission statement. What does the ideal day look like for you? Write it out. Get very specific. What is it that you want to be doing with your time? How do you want to be serving? How do you want to be supporting people? How much money do you want to be making? You want to ask yourself all of those questions and get very clear and specific what it looks like. The problem here is that most of the time you know exactly what it is, but you're not giving yourself permission to do it, because you know truthfully what you love to do. You know what makes time stand still. If I could save time. But you just don't give yourself the permission. So the first step is for you to write it down. I'm trying to walk while I do this. I'm getting out of shape here. So after you've made that declaration, second thing you got to realize is you got some blind spots there. There are certain things that are stopping you, robbing you of your power, that are blocking you from stepping up into the next phase. Those things are resentments and regrets. So what you want to do is to look back in the last recent time. Was there a business breakup? Was there a real big challenge that had you feeling ashamed, betrayed, you name it? You first have to find out exactly what it was, identify specifically what that resentment or regret was, and you want to get to work at finding the gifts of it. You want to peel it back, see how it served you, and also you want to look back and see all the previous triggers that this brought up. This is the process we do with the overview method, is really finding out what triggers come up for you from that last issue and where it actually came from your past. So that's the next step, is actually cleaning up the resentments and regrets in that process. The next step is to restore the integrity within the relationships of all of those impacted by the breakdowns that you got through. Now, I know this is the most scariest part, but people like Jessica, yourself, whoever are stuck in that feeling of stuckness and wanting to move forward or level up, you can't level up unless you get complete with everybody in your previous levels. You can't level up with full power. The whole idea here is you want to get it to the point where you can walk into any room on planet Earth and not fear bumping into somebody. If you have a fear of bumping into somebody, then you're sitting with a loss of power. That needs to be cleaned up. Step number 4, the next step is to learn how to dance with your darkness.
Time.
See, part of you having power to level up is you got a dark side. There is a bitchy, asshole, mean, narcissistic, sociopathic side to all of us. We are both altruistic and narcissistic, and depending on our mindset and what's going on, the pendulum is going to swing one way or the other. Most of the time, my experience when working with people, those people who are feeling at a loss of power have not embraced their dark side. You need your dark side in order to step up. You need to be a little bit selfish. You got to teeter on you got to teeter on altruism and narcissism to have full power to move forward, to do anything in life. Anytime the pendulum swings too far from one side or the other, you're at a loss of power. Or you completely alienate yourself from people. And I've experienced all of those. And so my challenge each time is to set myself up powerfully each and every day to embrace my light and my dark at any given moment. And the last part, the most important part to help you level up, is to not do it alone. You need accountability. You need strategic feedback, because you gotta have to push your limitations, and the human being wants what they want, and we just don't feel like doing it most of the time. So if you have skin in the game and you have accountability and mentorship in your hero's journey from someone who's actually been there, who's done what you've done, who you trust to hold you accountable to the greatest version of you, that gives you the greatest chance of winning. See, when you don't get that part right, you're just gonna go kind of on your own whim, on your own feeling like it, and that just rarely happens unless there's a push. And the best way is to join a community and get accountability so that you are held to the highest regard and accountable to the goals that you had set out. And the most important of all that I left out, and I left till the end, is this: you got to start telling the truth. Consider the possibility that the reason why you're stuck and you're not moving forward is because there's an inauthenticity. There's a lie that you're holding on to. Whether you're aware of it or not, or it's a blind spot, that's the value of having a coach or a mentor that can hold you accountable to you telling the exact truth. The truth is, your heart knows exactly what it wants. You know you have the power inside, but sometimes we have stories, we have traumas, we have dramas that prevent us from seeing that. And to be held accountable, to be telling the truth and putting away the lies of omission and commission, and actually stepping forward and living your purpose, because your purpose is expansion. So essentially, that next level feeling, it's usually your higher self calling on you to step up. That next level is not something lateral. It's this feeling inside that knows that you are undervaluing yourself and you're not really digging deep and getting vulnerable enough. There's a truth that you're hiding. There's an incongruency. There is a lack of integrity within yourself. There's an inauthenticity. There's a lie. Usually it comes in the form of a blind spot. It's not conscious. For some people it is conscious. They're like, yes, something here is out of alignment. And your higher self, what it's doing is it's calling on you to step up. It's calling on you to get congruent. If you don't, you suffer a massive breakdown. You either do it through conscious application of stepping up, or you wait for the breakdown to happen. In my life, the way that it's happened is this little voice in my head that's been gnawing at me to do something, and I ignore it. I keep ignoring it. I keep ignoring it. I keep ignoring it. Keep ignoring it. I keep ignoring it. And then I have a massive breakdown, which forces me to pay attention. So we either actually take action and step in, lean into the fear and get real, or we wait for the breakdown. And the way that it happens is you get somebody that you trust, like an Obi-Wan.
Hello there.
Yes.
Like you're like a female version of Luke Skywalker, the heroine of your own journey. And you can't see what you can't see. And when you find somebody that can ask the right questions and pull the truth out of you, the truth, there's something blocking you from telling yourself the truth. Either you're aware of it or not, or you're not. Once you pull that truth out, you tell the truth, and then you make a declaration, and then you tell all the people that have been impacted by the inauthenticity. All of a sudden, it's like Moses parting the Red Sea. That next move gets kind of presented to you, and you step into it.
I love it.
Does that resonate with you
It
at all?
does, absolutely.
Do you know exactly where that incongruency could be? Or do you feel like it's a little bit of a blind spot?
It's
for
a
you?
little bit of a blind spot, but I know the area. Yeah.
Perfect. So if that's you, what you want to do is to find your Obi-Wan. Find out if there's a blind spot and you're ready for that next level. There's something that you can't see. And as our mentor, Mark von Musser, says, the inside of a mayonnaise jar can't read the label. So find somebody that you trust. I mean, Jessica's a brilliant mentor. I mentor others. I have a mentor. I have a coach. Somebody who you can trust that'll give you strategic feedback, that holds you accountable to the highest version of yourself, and just go all in and be coachable, and you'll find it.